Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another exciting TBC Power Hour session. Today we are be talking about tunneling. My name is Boris Koplyak, and in absence of our resident product manager, I'm going to be co-hosting the session today. You probably heard my voice before, but my responsibilities are around geospatial office and cloud software for survey and mapping professionals. Today with me, I have Adam Tigeris.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
Thanks, Boris. I'm with the Trimble Business Center QA QC team, and I've spent the last part of the release working on tunneling. So we'll spend some time going through that today.
Thanks, Adam. This is Adam's second Power Hour. I think you've done one on site calibration, right?
Yeah, there was one earlier this year.
Yeah. Excellent. So, Power Hour veteran.
Yeah.
Thanks, Adam. So today we're going to be kind of giving you a little bit of introduction into the TBC tunneling module, just around motivation and why TBC tunneling, and then we're going to go into a more of a workflow demonstration. So Adam is going to be taking us through the process of creating and editing a tunnel design, and then tunnel reporting and drafting deliverables. So we're going to try to optimize the session so more of the time today is spent on the demo part itself. So we're going to have about half an hour to 35 minutes on the demo, and that will leave us about 10-15 minutes worth of questions. Anything you have, please type in the chat window, and we're happy to address as we kind of go through the workflow. And we're going to talk about the resources and next steps. So a little bit of overview on the TBC tunneling. Our motivation was really kind of came from our existing Trimble Access tunneling customers. So for you that are not familiar, we have our field software Trimble Access with the tunneling module. So for years now that module has been out, we have been getting requests from our existing customers to provide an equivalent support for Trimble Access tunneling back in the office within Trimble Business Center. We also wanted to kind of work with any tunnel as-built data, especially in the era where now we are seeing a lot of laser scanning being used in tunnels for as-builts, as well with the Trimble SX10 instrument. We thought it's appropriate timing for us to introduce an equivalent support in the office for tunneling workflows. So from the TBC perspective, the value add is really kind of around that entire ecosystem in the tunnels, where you have to first set up your above ground control network, then you have to kind of move that control network under the ground. So using all the tools in TBC around optical, like traversing and network adjustment, and just kind of data reviewing and QAing, prepping the data in the office, so creating those designs and kind of making sure that the data goes to the field devices effectively. And then with the SX10, as I mentioned, with the ability to have a total station that can scan, we are providing a good system solution to support tunneling operations. And then back in the office, giving you more real estate in the comfort of your office, all the 2D, 3D view navigation screens, and ability to kind of report and analyze as-built information. So really, we thought tunneling really fits well into our messaging around field to finish with confidence. So our biggest value add is providing you the confidence that the tunnel has been constructed according to the design, and ensuring that the project stays on schedule and minimizing downtime. I want to note that this is an optional module, so you don't have to have TBC tunneling. It goes with TBC Advanced. TBC Advanced is our flagship offering that contains all of the other elements around optical network adjustment, surface creation, and other tools working with point clouds that you would need when leveraging the tunneling capabilities. So if you want to get access to TBC tunneling, you would have to have a TBC Advanced edition. In terms of capabilities that we've created around TBC and tunneling, So our primary motivation or primal goal was to support Trimble access tunnels. So the workflow is very similar to routing. In the routing space, you have the RXL format. In tunneling, we have the TXL format. It's just another XML-based format that's optimized for tunnel information. But we actually ended up doing way beyond that. So in addition to supporting the Trimble Access tunneling model data structure and kind of following the same hierarchy and nomenclature around tunnel shapes and tunnel surface elements, we added the ability to kind of visualize those tunnel objects in 2D, 3D view cross sections. You have a ability to create and edit tunnel setouts, inspect and analyze any as-built data. So data doesn't necessarily have to come through the Trimble Access tunneling module. It can come in from any point cloud data source or any other optical data, and allowing you to generate custom reports inside TBC, as well as the drafting deliverables, like you can see in the top right here. With that, I'm gonna kind of pass it on to Adam so he can actually take us through the workflow and show us how this all comes together. And again, please type in any questions, comments in the chat window as we go along.
Yeah, thanks, Boris. So, like you said, we started off just supporting the Trimble Access Tunnel module, and it kind of grew from there. So we have a lot of content in this module. I'm gonna kind of burn through it fairly quickly, so I apologize in advance. But yeah, again, ask some questions, and we can go back and revisit some things or expand on it as I'm going through, and we'll get started. So we're gonna start here with a project we already have an alignment. This is actually some real world user data we have. We can bring up the plan in question. You can see here, we have some starting coordinates. We have our alignment elements, some curve data. We can look at this alignment that we already created through our alignment editor.
And I would say like we've been in several tunnels over the last year or so, and this is a typical scenario that we see. People just get a PDF printout of a tunnel that was done in the planning or pre-design stage, and then they were kind of keying in the tunnel elements inside Trimble Access. But now, Adam, you've taken those plans and you've keyed in the alignment elements here in TBC. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we have our elements here. This is the horizontal. Again, we have the arc segments coming from there. We also have our vertical alignment coming from the same plan. This is the same alignment functionality that already existed within TBC. So if you've done alignments to create roads or any other reason, it's going to be the same for tunneling. And if you already have an alignment, like again for a road, you can use that same alignment for your tunnel. Multiple alignments, or sorry, one alignment could be assigned to multiple corridors. So we're in our tunnel ribbon here, and our general workflow is kind of left to right. Again, we started with the alignment. We kind of took a shortcut there and started with one we already had. And our next step is to create a tunnel corridor. Tunnel corridor command here is fairly straightforward. It's just going to ask you to name it and assign alignment to it. Each tunnel corridor can only be assigned to one alignment, and then you can have multiple tunnels within that corridor. So we'll go ahead and just give a name here. And we have the alignment assigned to it. There's only one alignment in this project, so there's options there. If you do need to create one, then you can do that. Okay, I'll notice that we automatically open up the create tunnel command. That's the next one here in our workflow. We can also look at our project explorer. We have our alignment that already exists in the project. And under our corridors, we have our tunnel corridor object we just created. So we'll go ahead and create the tunnel. And again, we'll give it a name. Power tunnel. We have some options here, station interval and template alignment method. I'm not going to get into these too much, but I'll just have a quick reminder that we do have a fairly extensive help topic. So I just hit F1 there. When I'm in the command, it'll bring up the help for that specific command. And, we have some information here on what that station interval is and that template alignment method. So if you're not familiar with that, then you can always look that up. Go ahead and hit OK. And we'll see it brings us to our create tunnel template, which is the next step again in our workflow. Going back to Project Explorer, we can see we have our tunnel under our tunnel corridor. So tunnel templates, if you are familiar with Trimble Access, then this won't be new to you. But if you are new to the whole Trimble tunneling process, then our tunnel templates are kind of like containers for our tunnel shapes, which you could think of like a layer. So we can have multiple layers within our tunnel, and then these templates are where you're actually going to apply them to positions along the alignment to create a 3D object out of these 2D cross sections. So we'll give a name to this template. We'll just call it template 1. We're going to assign it to our tunnel. It's the only one we have in the project. We don't have anything to copy right now, and we can assign it to a station. Let's go ahead and select here kind of graphically at the beginning. This is optional, this template position station. We have a command in here, the add template position. So if you don't add it at this point, then you can always go back and add this created template to any other position later. Templates can also be applied to multiple positions along the alignment. Once you have that template, it opens up to create our tunnel shape. Again, we'll just give it a shape 1. And the option here to assign to a tunnel template, that's all auto-populated with the stuff we previously created. We have the ability to copy, but we don't have anything to copy right now. So we can go ahead and hit OK. This opens up our shape editor. This is where the actual fun begins, and we can start creating our tunnel cross-section shapes. Start with an offset, or sorry, a start point, and we'll offset it over 3 feet to the left. We zoom out here, we'll see we have our start point designated by this diamond, and the center of our alignment designated with the cross or plus sign. We have 6 segment types that we can use to create these shapes. Again, these are the exact same ones we have in Trimble Access, so if you're using that, then nothing new here. If you're new, then we have 3 types of arc creation and 3 types of line creation. I'll just quickly go through here and create a fairly basic shape. I'm not going to get into these too much, but we'll use the line elevation offset. That just kind of asks for an X and Y input. And for this one, I want to we'll go 9 vertical. We'll create an arc with an endpoint and a radius. We want it to end on the other side here, so we'll give an offset of +3. We get this error indicator here that the default radius of 0 isn't valid. Obviously, we'll put something in there. We'll go with 9, that, and then we'll do a line endpoint, and we'll just end it back down there at 0. Oh, that's the wrong one. An offset of 3 and a height of 0. So there we have just a very basic tunnel shape, and we can go ahead and close that. And we can go back to our Project Explorer, and we can see all the elements we created. We created this new template, template 1. Underneath that, we created our shape 1, and we also applied that template 1 to the position here at the beginning of our alignment. You'll notice in our plan view, we don't really see any graphical representation of that tunnel. This is just the alignment. What we do have is this create tunnel mesh command. We can go ahead and click that, and we can create a tunnel mesh that we can see in plan view, 3D view, cutting plane view, 3D drive view, all that. And so this creates a tunnel mesh for each shape of the tunnel that we choose. We have some options here to assign it to a layer and color, but we'll just leave that as default for now and press OK. And we can see there we have our tunnel mesh. If we open up the 3D view, we can go that way, and we can see it there. Going back into our tunnel creation, right now we have a very basic tunnel with just one shape. We can add multiple templates that have multiple shapes within them. So we'll go back into the create shape command, and I'll actually access it from the Project Explorer. We can right click on the template we want to add a shape to, and we have some options there. What we want to do is create a tunnel shape, a new tunnel shape. So we'll call this shape 2. And here, I'm going to assign it to the same tunnel and template. Not many options in this project yet. I am going to copy it, and we get this option here to do a concentric offset. And this is if you kind of want to make the same shape, but you want to offset it slightly larger or slightly smaller than your existing shape. In this case, we'll make it smaller. We'll go -1/2. We'll hit OK. This opens up the shape editor for our new shape. We can kind of go in here and confirm that we were at 3 before. Now we're at 2.5, so it does look like we made it a 1/2 foot smaller. Another tool we have to view the tunnel is the tunnel view. This shows us the cross-section view along the tunnel. You can see here we have the 2 shapes we created. We have the slider where we can change the position and alignment we're looking at. You can see that we have some changes in the alignment, but these shapes don't change. We have this graphical view down here that has some real-world information about the segments. If you highlight a row here, it'll highlight the corresponding segment in plan view, or you can do it vice versa. You can highlight shapes in the plan view, and they'll highlight in the graphical view. And so you can see that the endpoint of this has this northern value, this eastern value, and this elevation. One more thing we can support with our tunnel shape is doing an interpolation between shapes. In order to do that, we need to have multiple templates. So I'll go ahead and click on the template heading and right click to create a new tunnel template. We could also access that from the create group up here in the ribbon. And we'll go ahead and call this template 2. And we actually want to copy the contents of our template 1. And we won't apply it to a station for now. We'll just hit OK. And I actually want to go into our shape 1, and we'll delete it, and we'll replace it with a new shape 1, and we'll copy that existing shape 1. We want to make this larger. The reason we're giving it the same name, it might be slightly confusing to have multiple shapes in the same tunnel that do have the same name, but if they're not named the same, and if they have a different amount of nodes or segments in the actual shape itself geometry, then they won't be able to interpolate between it. So in this case, we're in a different template, but we're giving the shape the same name. It's going to have the same amount of segments, but it's going to be slightly bigger. So go ahead and press OK. And then we want to add this template to a station. So we can use our add template position command. And it's fairly straightforward. We're going to take that template 2, and we'll add it to kind of the beginning of this curve here. And hit OK. And I can kind of see this happening here. It is fairly subtle, but you can see a slight interpolation as it starts off at our smaller segment and goes to our larger segment. You'll see that a lot more when we open up the tunnel view. And as we scroll through, you can see that we're getting larger with just that exterior shape. This is our shape 1. It starts off with the smaller shape and expands by a foot as it gets to that curve station around 401.80 there, and it stays consistent. So that's kind of a brief, almost brief overview of the tunnel shape and geometry design we have in TBC. Obviously, there's a lot more you can do with this. You can keep adding templates. You can have kind of different geometric shapes as long as, again, they have the same amount of segments to interpolate to each other. You can have even more layers inside each other. So there's a lot you can do there. We do have some YouTube videos where we go over it a bit more in depth. So if you're curious, then definitely check those out. But we'll call our tunnel shape kind of finalized for now. So we can close our tunnel view. And the next step we have is these kind of editing tools. You can use these to edit an existing tunnel, or in this case, we can use it to just keep modifying the tunnel just created. So we have edit rotation, edit horizontal offset, and edit vertical offset. These tools will kind of translate or rotate your tunnel with respect to the alignment. So open up the edit rotation, and we can see it's a fairly simple control. We have a station, a rotation, and a horizontal center and a vertical center. So these last two columns are just an option if you want to rotate it not about the center of the alignment. For now, we'll just say at station 0, we want a rotation of 20. We'll just exaggerate a lot just for viewing purposes. And we're in percent for our unit right now. So go ahead and OK.
So Adam, would you say this would be equivalent to the super elevation on a regular corridor?
Good point, Boris. We see this a lot around corners. Super elevation basically. So you might be able to see the rotation there. That's pretty obvious. Again, we can open up our tunnel view, and we can look at it there, and we actually see the value there. We got a 20% rotation, and it's applied throughout the entire tunnel.
Can you go back and edit that percentage or rotation?
Yeah, we can go and edit it. We can change the station. Again, we can, in the plan view here, we can use our kind of alignment picker tool to give us an approximate location. I'll pick maybe the beginning of this curve. Actually, we'll go slightly back, and I'll show you how we can interpolate this rotation. So it's kind of a gradual. It doesn't just start at 20. So we'll start with our rotation of 0 back about, I don't know how far that is, maybe 10 feet from the beginning of this curve. We'll hit OK. And then we'll put our rotation of 20, and we'll just select this point of curvature. And then we'll kind of mirror it on the other side. So we'll have another station at rotation of 20 at the end of the curve. And then we'll go a little bit past that and go back to 0. So now if we look at our station view, we can see that we start off, we're at 0, kind of all along the straight portion here. We get to the curve, and then we start doing a gradual rotation. We get to kind of max point there, it stays at 20. Then we go around the curve, and it comes back to 0. So that's the tunnel rotation. We have the horizontal offset and the vertical offset. Basically the same logic that we use in the rotation, a little bit simpler. We don't have the center, obviously. So this is the horizontal offset. We can just say at station 0, we want to offset this whole tunnel 20 feet to the left. So we'll use a negative value, and we go ahead and enter. And we'll see that there. Our alignment is still here, but our tunnel has actually been shifted. We can do the same thing with the vertical offset. I won't go into it right now. It's pretty straightforward. Just move your tunnel up and down in reference to your alignment. You have the ability to copy tunnels if you want to do that. So in this case, we create this one tunnel offset to the left of the alignment. Maybe we want to copy the tunnel and then offset to the right, so we get kind of tunnel traffic going one way and another tunnel going the other way. Another thing we have is edit tunnel setouts. Again, if you're familiar with Trimble Access, then we have the exact same 4 setouts. These setouts, if you're not too familiar with tunneling, are sort of your as-staked points before you do construction. Most of them will sit around the edge of a tunnel, so it'll ask you to have a start and end station. If you just leave them blank, then it'll apply to the entirety of the tunnel. This radial asks you to pick a horizontal offset and a vertical offset, and that'll kind of create a sloped line that you'll use to intersect tunnel shape. And again, you can go from a different horizontal and vertical center than the center of the alignment. One thing to note is when you are referencing the center of the alignment with these offsets, is they refer to the offset of the alignment. So since we offset this tunnel 20 feet from the actual alignment. If we say the horizontal center of 0, 0, that will apply to this offset alignment. So we're not going to have it set out way over here on our alignment when we offset a tunnel over here. Let's go ahead and hit enter and create that. And you can see in the tunnel view, here's our set out, kind of a straight 45, and it intersects with the shape we specified. Again, down here in kind of our graphical thing, we do have a section for setouts, so you can see the coordinates there of the setout you just created. And we can see this one persists throughout the entire tunnel. So that's basically the summary of the entire design process. One kind of final thing you probably want to do is export this tunnel design under the export command on the far left. And the corridor tab, we have our TXL tunnel exporter. We select the tunnel, it'll display the horizontal and vertical alignment that are assigned to it. You have a begin and end station. This will default to the entirety of the tunnel alignment. But if you want to pick just a subsection of that, then you're free to do so. Have the station interval is used to view the cross sections in triple axis, so you might want to update that to something fairly realistic. And then you just have your file name where you're exporting it, your file version. 6.0 is the latest. If you need to go back for any reason, you can change that, but for the most part, you can just leave it. This TXL will export all your alignment information, your tunnel templates, shapes, and template positions. What it won't export is your tunnel mesh, but if you want to export that in a CAD format, you can do that through DWG or DXF, and then you could bring this tunnel design into any other CAD program you're working with, and use it in any drawings or projects that you need it to.
Good. We did get a question in the chat from Matthias asking if the clotoids are supported as a horizontal alignment element. We haven't kind of gone through that process, but Adam is showing it here. So in the tunnel alignment, same as in the regular corridor alignment, you get multiple choices for the spiral types. As you can see, clotoid is the top one as it's the most commonly used option.
Yeah. So going back to the very beginning with that alignment creation, you can create your spiral segment types. Also, if you have line work coming in from another source, then you could just use that to base your alignment.
Good. Chad is asking, are non-enclosed designs supported? For example, an underpass with vertical walls, rapid transit for bus or rail corridors. Non-enclosed designs. So I'm guessing like the tunnels without like where the shape is not closed, which.
So and this is an open shape. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're asking, but it definitely doesn't need to be a complete closed circle. You can only have one gap, so you couldn't have just a set of walls. But you are allowed to have one open area.
Cool.
Hopefully answer that.
Yes. So the gap can be above, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. I can't say I've done it, but I don't see any reason why I couldn't.
Dan is asking if the mesh can be exported via TTM to Trimble Access. Have you tried that, Adam? Like our regular surface export format?
I'm not sure. I think it only exports as a DWG and DXF. We can look into that though. It's not an actual surface. It is a tunnel mesh object, so you can't measure to it like you do a traditional surface. It's strictly a viewing object.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So like I said, that's kind of the tunnel design portion of this, and we'll get into the tunnel reporting and deliverable. So go ahead, create a new project. And what we're going to do is we're going to import a JXL or a job file and a tunnel design in the form of our TXL format. So this is the case where, we created our tunnel design and then we went out in the field and we actually did some as-built on it, bring it back into the office, and we want to do our reporting.
So Adam, where does this data come from? Did we get this from an end user or?
Yeah, this came from a beta user, I believe. So we have our beta program.
And what instrument was it collected with? Do we know?
No, we can look it up though. We have some import errors here. We'll just ignore those for now. Usually want to look at those. I think if we look at observation, will that give us the instrument? Yeah, so Trimble I6. Yeah, so I guess that's important to note. This was done with a Trimble instrument and Trimble Axis tunnels. That's important right now in this assign tunnel point step. This is the first command you're going to go through whenever you want to create any reports or as-built deliverables. And what we need to do here is we need to assign our as-built points to a station. So 3 options here from job file, specified station, or station interval. Like I said, this was done with Trimble Axis tunnels, so we can just use the from job file. We can just hit add, and it's kind of what was being asked before. We have the closed tunnel as-built. If we look in the 3D view, we can see our points. They're an open arc like that. We can go into our actual tunnel itself, and we can create the mesh so we can see it there.
So the tunnel object under the corridor node, was that imported from TXL?
Yeah, this all came in with the TXL. There's the tunnel, the templates, and the template positions, and then we just created the design mesh.
Cool.
So we can see, kind of a sanity check there. We have our tunnel design, we have our as-built points. They look like they fit pretty good. This tunnel mesh, kind of a side note, is an object in the view filter manager, so you can turn it off and on there. We'll just turn it off to get out of the way. So anyways, going back to our assigned tunnel as-built points, we use this from job file. We added and it populated these 4 stations with 48 points each. We can expand that and we can see we have points 1 through 48 in the first station, and they're assigned to the surface tunnel shape. When you're doing your tunnel as-built in Trimble Access, it'll walk you through the software and it'll say which stations you want to as-built, what kind of point density you want to do. So that's kind of all done in the field. What we're doing here in Trimble Business Center is we're just reestablishing this link so that these 48 points are assigned to station 679 and these other 48 points are assigned to station 680. So you can see if you're using Trimble Access, super easy. Press the add button, and we want open tunnel, so we don't want to be closed, and we hit apply, and we assign those points. Alternatively, if this data came in from anywhere else, maybe someone just handed you a CSV and said, here's your tunnel as-built points, then you can use these bottom 2 methods as kind of a more manual way to add. So I can go in and delete all these for now. Yes, I do want to delete the data. And the first method, you can add points to an individual station. So we can use our station alignment picker again, kind of create a best fit line here. And we can say, station 678.95. Realistically, we're at station 679. And we can pick the points we want to assign to the station. We can do our polygon select. We're selecting all these observations now, but that doesn't matter. It's only going to focus on the points. And we can go ahead and hit add again. You notice we have a couple options here to include disabled or backside points. We'll just leave those off for now. And you can see here, we picked the same 48 points and we assign them to station 679, just like we had before with the auto add. We use the station interval right now, or right here. We have a fairly consistent. Every 1 meter, we have a station with as-built points. So we can say our begin station was 679, And we actually want to start at 6, 7, 8. If we start at 6, 7, 9, then we won't take any points that are just slightly before that station 6, 7, 9. So we want to use 6, 7, 8 for our start and go in even 1 meter. So 6, 7, 9, 6, 8, 0, 6, 8, 1, 6, 8, 2, and we'll end at 6, 8, 3. Again with a 1 meter interval. And for points, we can just select all these. And we can hit add, and there we have it. So this is the first step we have to do before we do any reporting. As you can see, if you're using Trimble Access Tunnel, it's very simple. Just press 1, 2, 3 buttons. But if you have other data, then we can work with that too.
So it kind of relates to Patrick's question. I think he's asking, what if we have a point cloud of a tunnel? So would you follow a similar process where you would convert the point cloud into CAD points and assign them to a tunnel?
Yeah, so I referenced earlier, Boris will talk about it again. We have a TBC YouTube playlist that has a whole bunch of tunnel videos and actually go through that workflow of working with point clouds. And yeah, the current workflow is to select a scan region, and you'll probably want to sample that, and then you can create CAD points and survey points out of that, and then select those points and assign to a station. Hopefully it matches that. So once we have our tunnel points assigned, we can go into our reporting group here. We did the assigned tunnel points, and we have some reports we do here. I'll kind of jump ahead to our ASCII reports. These are reports that already existed in the ASCII file generator. I think it was kind of a standalone add-on that you could use with your Trimble Access data and design to create some reports. But we just kind of brought these into TBC. We have 9 reports here. We have some like the Amberg and the Beaver that are kind of tunnel software, hardware specific. We have some other ones like the MS Word reports. We'll go ahead and open that to start with. And actually, we have the MS Word report and MS Word report with areas. We'll just choose the with areas one. We get a UI. Visible control here in the way. We have a UI that has the tunnel we want to report on, as well as the tunnel shape. And we have the points that are assigned to that shape and tunnel. We have the begin station, end station. We can just leave this at 0 to 800 for now. It's only going to report on the stations that we have points assigned to. So, even though it's saying 0 to 800, we're only going to get these 4 stations. Again, you have your file where you want to save it. Down here, you have some options. You have your station tolerance, overbreak tolerance, underbreak tolerance. And you're just going to set these values so they'll flag when points are outside of them. Your station tolerance is how far along the alignment your point is from the stations assigned to. So anything that's farther than 679.1 or 678.9 would get flagged for this value. Overbreak are points that are outside the tunnel design, and underbreak are points that are inside the tunnel design. We have some options down here. I'm just going to run the report quick because it's easier to explain them after you've seen it. So we'll go ahead and hit apply, and TBC will generate this report. This is a .doc file, as you can see here in the Save As. And we want to open it as an XML document. Go ahead and hit OK. And you can see here it opens in Word. And we have our drawing of our points, how they associate with the tunnel design. The solid lines are tunnel design, and we have all the points. And we have the underbreak or overbreak. In this case, it's all overbreak. We have a table that reports on each point, the horizontal offset from the alignment, elevation, this delta, overbreak, underbreak data, and the station delta, which is the distance away from the station assigned to an alignment. Since we selected the with areas, we have some stuff here like the template area, underbreak area, overbreak area, and measured area. So this is a kind of a cool report. It's fairly, quick and dirty, gives you the information you need, gives you a nice graphic, and you can, just go ahead and create that and send it out to, your field, your end users, or keep it for yourself. We'll just look at some of the other reports we have in this ASCII reports real quick. Let's go back to my assign as-built points commands. We can get to the ASCII reports through the shortcut in the top. And then we actually have the report type here that'll show up. We can use something like the profile detail report. Again, we'll keep the same settings and we'll go ahead and hit apply. This is a HTML report. So it'll open up in a web browser, gives you your station, your point name, the underbreak, overbreak, and the station delta. We'll do this for every station you have. I'll maybe look at one more here. We have this profile areas and volumes. This gives us the same areas that we had with the Word report, but it also gives us volumes, which could be important. Go ahead and apply. Again, HTML report gives you at each station, design area, undercut area, overcut area, and measured area. And at the end here, has your total volume computed by average end, so you can kind of check it yourself if you want. There's not a lot of mystery behind that math, but there's the design volume, undercut volume, overcut volume, and the total volume. So there's a bunch of other reports here. You can kind of explore those on your own if you want. You can also look at the help. There's some description, and again, the YouTube videos that I referenced earlier. We close that. One of the other reports we have here is our custom tunnel report. So if you've done any of the other reporting, custom reporting in TBC, this is similar to that. But we also have our default report. It's very similar to the MS Word report we showed earlier, kind of the same UI. Go ahead and hit apply, open that up. And there we have it. The benefit about these custom reports is you can go in and edit them yourself. Using the drop down in the tunnel as built, you can use the create custom report and you can create a new report. Power hour, you can put a description if you want. For the source data, you'll want to use the tunnel as built report, and report layout file to start with, you'll want to use the tunnel as built report. If you create your own kind of tunnel layouts, then you might want to be editing those. But this is all we have for now. You can go to edit layout. We'll just close this. Open up a new one. And now we're in editing mode. So again, if you've used the previous custom reporting, then we have kind of these data fields that automatically populate with your tunnel. You can go in and delete these if you want. You could put your own company logo. You can change the size of the image, fonts, colors, all that stuff. You can completely erase this and start from brand new if you want and create your own report that way. But I think this gives you a pretty good start and has almost all the information you'd need. So like I said, totally customizable. You do what works best for you or your company. Cancel. And the last thing I'm going to show off here is the drafting. There's a lot to do with the tunnel as-built, the tunnel drafting along with tunnel as-built drafting. I already created a VCL. This is our template format. So this is basically my drafting template I'm going to use. I'll go ahead and drag and drop it into TBC. We'll import it there. We'll go to our Project Explorer, and we see we now have this plan set heading. We open that, we have a plan sheet, and underneath that we have our cross-section sheet. I can right-click it, and I can edit it. And it's going to say associated with a corridor. Again, we only have the one corridor in this project, but if you had maybe a road corridor and a tunnel corridor, then you want to choose the one you're focusing on. In this case, it would be the tunnel one.
Did we add this VCL sheet in our default drafting template folder, Adam?
No, this is one I just made myself.
Okay.
Um,
Do we have already one in the drafting template?
Not for tunnels
Okay.
specifically. If you're new to the kind of drafting workflow in TBC in general, we do have these drafting templates in the drafting tab. And these are just your standard sheet sizes. So what I did was I imported one of these, and then I went in and actually edited it specifically for tunnels.
Okay. So it might be good that in the next TBC update we can deploy a few tunneling templates.
Yeah, I mean they can vary depending what your tunnel's like.
Okay.
This is just what I made specifically kind of for this tunnel. So here we have the sheet settings. This is all the same as before. If you did drafting, we have the grid and axis interval. I have the grid turned off. You could turn that on if you wanted, but it kind of clutters things up, so we'll leave it off. One kind of important thing to note if you're dealing with as-built data for your cross-section locations, you want to include your tunnel as-built points. And that's just going to include the stations that we assign those points to. Those 4 stations starting at 679. You have the scroll bar here, 682, 680, 681. So this is the new tunnels part that was added in the latest version. You have the option to draw your tunnel. If you turn it off, then everything disappears. So leave that on. We have quite a bit in here. I'll kind of just expand it all and then highlight a few things. This is why I imported this VCL, because there is a lot to do. We have things like this point table here. We have all the fonts we can use. We can offset it, so we place it where we want on the sheet. We can color the text if it's out of tolerance, like we see here. We have some out of station tolerance. There's a delta station. It's out of tolerance, so it's colored red. We have the fields. I excluded a few here, and this was all saved from that template. You can totally turn this point table off if you don't want it. We have some design labels we can create here. In this case, that's where the station label comes from, of station 679. If you want to go in and edit it, you can use these ellipses here. And again, we have kind of these tags. These are smart text. So if you want to have, the designed area of this particular template at the station, easting coordinates, rotations, stations, what we already have, vertical offsets, all that design information, have that there. And then you also have these as-built labels. In this case, this is where this overbreak area comes from. Again, we can see the smart text we have, average distance, average overbreak, underbreak, measured area, number of measured points, all that. You can also put regular text in here. You can see I have, just overbreak area followed by the smart text. If you want to create a new one, a new label, you can go in here and create that, and you can edit it. Draw it, and we can call it test label. Really small. We can change text style to our label text. It's on top of our other text right now, so we can offset it, put it up 10 or 20, be better. And then we have our as-built labels, our drawing for our overbreak points. We can color them, we can choose to draw them, and text style. So lots to do here, lots of customization. You can really dig into this. Again, we have the tutorial videos that can help you out if you're new to this. And kind of once we're happy with our final product, we can go in here and we can build our sheets. And we can look at those. And here's our sheet. Again, ready to be printed. We added in our own logo there. Probably have some other information here, revisions, company name, and there's your deliverable. So that kind of summarizes the reporting and deliverable aspect of TBC tunneling.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah.
So
how are we for time and questions?
I think we do have some time. Jesus is asking if we can use this for high tunnels for ag purposes. I have to admit I'm not familiar with high tunnels for ag.
Yeah, I mean, you could very well. Yeah, if you have a very long greenhouse, you could definitely go in and create, your basic house shape. Mm-hmm. And if you had to do as-built in there, yeah, you could definitely report on it. Cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool doing these. We get some crazy applications. People want to use tunneling for lots of other stuff, and go for it. Awesome.
So yeah, Jesus, maybe you can send us an email. We would love to kind of see a data set from one of these and see what we can do. Ben is asking how to connect crossover access tunnels. Not sure I follow that. Maybe Ben, if you can expand that on the question a little bit, that would help us. Sebastian is asking if we can work with the SX10 scan data. Yes, we haven't kind of gone into that workflow, but as Adam said, there is a YouTube video that kind of covers some of the scan data operations.
Yeah, you have to kind of extract points from it, but you can definitely visualize it all together too.
Cool. There are some enhancements that we already started kind of working on the tunneling module. So some of those include more streamlined operations with point cloud data. So this is kind of just a first start. Ariel is asking if we can import more than one job to obtain reports.
Yeah. If you can have multiple points as long as you're surveying the same tunnel and the same tunnel shape. You can take points from two different jobs and have them in the same report.
Mm-hmm. Good. Sunil is asking, is there an option to edit measured points? Most of the tunnels during the construction stage have air electrical ducts. It's essential to remove the points measured on this. So
I'm just back here in our assign tunnel as-built points command. We have the collapse for each station, or the expandable. You can go in here and you say, 0.3, that's not a real point, that's some kind of noise. You can just delete that.
Cool. Yeah, if you're working with point cloud data, you can leverage the existing TBC point cloud ground extraction and classification tools, because there's a lot of noise or a lot of erroneous or there's a lot of stuff happening in the tunnel with the trolleys passing by, with the dirt kind of being hauled out. So you can leverage the existing TBC tools to remove any unwanted points.
Yeah, all the region creation, keep out, classify. I don't know about classifying, but the kind of some of the basic cleaning tools come with TBC Advanced, so you can use that with your tunneling.
I'm interested how ground extraction would work with the tunnel.
Yeah, I haven't tried it.
No. Cool. Ariel's asking if we can share the VCL sheet. I think we are sharing the presentations on our webinar repository site, so we can, with the presentation, we can include a VCL sheet. So thanks, Adam, for giving us a head start. Ben kind of expanded on his previous question and said, connecting one main tunnel to another by access tunnel.
Yeah, so I guess I can't remember what the original question was. I see what he's saying now.
I'm guessing if we can connect two tunnels by a smaller access tunnel.
You need to have two separate tunnel corridors. Our alignments are basically linear, so you need to have two alignments. You can have them in the same project.
Would you have to create an alignment between the two existing alignments that are in parallel if you want to kind of have a tunnel connecting the two existing tunnels?
You lost me there.
Like if you have two parallel tunnels
Yeah.
and you want to have an access tunnel between them, like you want to have a
Oh, yeah, no, nothing like that. You'd have to create a new alignment and new tunnel there.
yeah,
We don't have the ability
yeah.
to do perpendicular kind of stuff like that
Cool.
currently.
Maybe Ben, you can email us and we can kind of look into specific use case that you have in mind a little bit better. Christoph is asking if we have something like this for RealWorks. We actually do have some tunneling reporting analysis for Trimble RealWorks that are more catered towards pure 3D point cloud operations. One of the motivations why we decided to build tunneling capability on top of TBC and not Trimble RealWorks is the fact that in TBC we have already all of the infrastructure around alignment creation and corridor design, where in TBC it's kind of a more cloud to cloud based reporting, as well as other operations in TBC where you can actually do your network control and other surface creation and tunnel related operations. So TBC kind of pairs with Trimble Access more on that raw data level, which is kind of was the driving factor to use TBC for tunneling as a tunneling home. But yes, you can still use Trimble RealWorks if you're just interested in the point cloud aspect of tunnels. RealWorks can provide a rich set of tools there. Cool. With that, kind of gonna recap. So what we went through is we went through the kind of a corridor alignment. We started with the existing alignment and we created tunnel corridor. So creating the tunnel, we created the template. After we had the template, we were creating shapes, and then we were creating tunnel mesh to be able to visualize that tunnel in 3D view. And we showed the export. How would you export that to field or export to a CAD? Adam also covered some of the editing routines, like how to interpolate between shapes, how to reuse existing shapes and copy and edit those, add these shapes to a specific tunnel position, prepare points for setouts, and how to modify the tunnel offset if you have super elevations inside a tunnel, and how to offset and rotate horizontally and vertically, and then review that using the existing 2D, 3D, and tunnel viewing tools. And then we went to the tunnel reporting, talked about concept of assigning as-built points to a tunnel. We haven't covered point clouds in this workflow or in this session, but we do have those covered in the YouTube playlist. We went through the point cloud, or ASCII report generation, drafting templates, some of the options to modify and edit those templates, and creating custom as-built reports. So with that, I want to kind of point you to the next steps. So on our TBC webpage, you have a link to a lot of existing TBC related materials. So start with our web page. Our YouTube channel, we kind of referred it to it a few times. We created a tunnel playlist. So I don't know how many videos we have, about
21, I think.
21. So Adam did a fantastic job, really kind of taking us step to step. So if you missed something in this webinar, or this webinar was not detailed enough, you can kind of go through our YouTube channel and check the tunneling playlist. Also, this webinar is going to be recorded. We archive all of the TBC Power Hour webinars, so you'll be able to view it at your leisure later on, or share with your colleagues that might be interested. Also, we have a TBC community page. If you Google Trimble Community, you will find a special place for Trimble Business Center. We are publishing things like tips of the week there, so Joe is really doing a good job kind of keeping us aware of the hidden gems inside TBC, but this is also a community site where you can actually post any questions and interact with us. So we kind of monitor this occasionally, and we try to provide some answers. If you're interested in tunnels, want to check it out, please contact any of our Trimble distributors. You can get a 30-day demo license to kind of get yourself familiar with the workflow and try this out. There's tunnel tutorial that you can also use to go through this. And I want to take the opportunity to announce the next TBC Power Hour. So this Wednesday we were going underground. Next month we are going vertical. So introduced the concept of projected surfaces in TBC. Our guest speaker is going to be David Delgado from our TBC marketing team, and we're going to talk about how you can use some of the projected surfaces for retaining wall or dam inspection or any other kind of vertical mining type of related applications. So with that, I want to thank Adam. This was fantastic. Thank you for all the effort that you're putting around tunneling and for your time this morning.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Thanks for watching.
Cool. And thank you all for your time. I know you're very busy, so hope this session was useful and have fun surveying and have fun with TBC. Have a great day, everybody.